What's going on, everybody? Carlos here. Today we're going to talk about ways to prevent chaos during your steel club movement patterns. Chaos and your steel club movement patterns. When we typically talk about chaos, we're seeing these when people are doing combination movement patterns. Now, what are combination movement patterns? Combination movement patterns are typically when people will combine two or more movement patterns into a sequence. I'm going to demonstrate one and then we're going to talk about it. So the one I'm going to demonstrate is an outside pendulum with a steel club swing. Steel club swing, outside pendulum. With combination movement patterns, the way to make sure to avoid injury and to make sure to avoid chaos is to make sure that you know exactly where home base is. No matter what it is, whether you're working with a steel club, a kettlebell, or a mace, there's always a home base. With the steel club, it's going to be your order position. We've talked about this before where we talk about elbow being married to rib. You have full grip conformation here, 90 degree in the elbow joint, elbow in line with the wrist, and then you're finding leverage in the club, so the club is not directly up and down, it is actually pointed back just a tad. And I know what you're gonna say, Carlos, when I do it, when I've practiced this movement or practice the order position, I just hold it straight up and down, and that seems to work fine. That's okay. As soon as this club gets heavier, you're not going to be able to hold this thing up and down without it wobbling around. You're going to have to find control. These have a nice pommel. This is an Adex adjustable club. This has a pommel. Pinky's going to be married to the pommel. You're going to find your order position here, and instead of having this club straight up and down, you're just going to cant it back ever so slightly. Right now I have this club loaded to 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds right here. Obviously this is adjustable. These are 5-pound weights. We have 2.5-pound weights and 1.25 weights. The order position is your home base. This is how you are going to be able to control your chaos when it comes to steel club training. When we see a lot of people doing maybe an inside circle to a mill, a lot of times here people are skipping the order position or they're skipping the home base position. If you feel good and you're very fluid with steel club and steel mace training, that's okay, you can do that. But if you see that you are introducing chaos to some of your movements or you don't feel like you're in control with some of your movements, if you find yourself doing combination movement patterns and you don't have control, remember, come back to this home base position. This is an active resting position here. So don't think just because you're doing something 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, that you have to completely do this movement pattern for 30 seconds. If you see that things are getting out of control, slow it down some. Maybe you only do half the movement pattern instead of the full sequence that you were doing before, just until you get control. Maybe you come back to center, maybe you don't. Whatever it is that you do, make sure you find control. Take your time with it, because what it's going to do, it's going to prevent injury of yourself and others around you, including small animals like cats and dogs. So be careful with that as well. But that's with the steel club. The same applies when it comes to steel mace training as well. When you combine, last week we talked about doing a 360 with some touch and goes. So here, if you find that you're losing control, and with the mace especially, you need to be careful, especially when it's weighted, because you will hurt your back if you don't have control of the 360 movement, the touch and go, the 10 to 2, whatever movement that could be. If you don't have control, you will hurt yourself. So start light and then slowly work your way up. But here with the steel mace, as I come up into this launch position, if I don't feel in control here, I'm just going to slow it down some. That's all I'm going to do. Ideally, you would love this to be a fluid motion, but if you don't have it, there's nothing wrong with taking your time, owning the positions, and then moving forward. The exact same thing applies with kettlebell training. With kettlebell training, there is a rack position. That is your home base when it comes to control, or a way to avoid chaos. This position here is a position that you can actively rest and that you can make sure that you stay in control, whether that's going to be outside pendulum to a swing, just like we were doing with the club. And if we have to rest, maybe we can only do it for 20 seconds and it's a 30-second round, that's okay. You do it for 20 seconds and you hold in that rack position for the last 10. What we're trying to do here is avoid chaos and make sure that we have order and control when it comes to all the movements, when it comes to steel club training, steel mace training, or kettlebell training. Train.adexclub.com. If you guys are looking for more coaching, detailed coaching content when it comes to steel club, steel mace, or arc training, I highly recommend you go visit there. We've put together a ton of videos when it comes to the steel club, when it comes to the steel mace. You do not need to have a Adex product in order to take advantage of this movement library and this coaching program that we have, this virtual coaching program that we have. As long as you have a club or a mace, you will be able to go through a lot of the workouts. All that information and content is universal and it applies to every single club, every single mace. And no matter what, I promise you, if you go through the program and you watch the movement pattern videos, I promise you will move better. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and we will see you guys on the inside. See you later.